saying welcome back because we had some serious technical hitch, and thanks for the feedback because there was all these kind of things happening. But karibu sana again, and welcome to Biz Talks. Today we're starting super fresh again. We have an amazing guest who's going to tell us how can we invest cross-border. And in the house we have Lina Tonui, and Lina is an amazing person because she's the project lead when it comes to Marta's AELP. And we shall be understanding what is AELP, by the way, and how can you really tap into that. And because we promised you, as usual, we have to get to know who Lina is. And so first of all is to welcome Lina. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Maina. How are you?
Very well. Very well. Let's begin this again. And my question to you is this. First, when people ask who Lina is, who do you say you are?
I say me. So Lina grew up in Kericho.
The green lands of Kericho.
Yes, green lands of
like
Kericho.
Taking photos.
Yes. Oh, you do like taking photos in Kericho. I know the tea makes for a beautiful background.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I know. I feel like now I'm in a tea commercial, but yeah. But I grew up in Kericho, middle child.
Yeah.
Fun to be who I am.
Yes.
And and on top of that, I'm a mom, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, all that. And also professionally, I am a financial services professional. So, yeah.
That's like a must for you now. And it's good to have you here. And in a very simple way, we want to explain what this AELP, let me call it AELP, this thing, because I also want to understand it, what it is, and why it was formed.
Okay.
Yes.
So AELP is not really as complex as it sounds. So it is. So AELP stands for the African Exchanges Linkage Project, and what this is, it's a linkage of stock exchanges to trade under one platform, giving access to traders and investors across the continent to access other African markets other than their own. So it's an initiative of the African Securities Exchanges Association, which is an association of about 26 African stock exchanges.
Wow.
And so together with the Africa Development Bank, they initiated the project.
That's great, and that's quite a huge number. So let's start from here, and I think I want to explain to the viewers, please correct me if I'm wrong, that this really applies first if from wherever you are, locally, could be international, you're a person who has decided to invest in stocks and buying shares in your local companies, and you envision to also buy for the African context. That's right, is it?
Yes, yes.
Absolutely. So, I just want to throw a reference to our people who are watching that. Listen in, first, clear yourself up, understanding, do your knowledge, due diligence, go back to a Biz Talks conversation on how to invest in stocks and the likes, and then now you can diversify across the borders. That's why AELP was formed, as Lina has said it. Okay, Lina, now, when we talk about all this, my quick question is, what are the opportunities that you see? Because, for example, different countries are doing differently in terms of performance. We have some countries doing well. They have LPOs and the likes, and others are, I don't want to mention names, are on a sort of dry season. So what does this mean for an investor when they choose to, okay, I want to invest and do this kind of things, and or have this entire scope of almost 26 exchanges from your perspective?
Okay. So at the moment, we do not have all 26 exchanges connected to the AELP. We have seven exchanges.
Okay.
And so these exchanges can be accessed by investors in whichever country.
Okay.
So for example, you talk about IPOs. Again, different markets have different products. They have different and performance varies from market to market. So when your market is not doing well, then you have the opportunity to access a different market and hopefully, make money investing in a different market.
Okay.
So the opportunities are there. They're endless. It gives access to. It gives investors access to over 1,200 stocks that they can invest in across the continent.
That's great. That's quite huge. And let's talk about now the process for an investor who looks at you and says, you work for AELP, okay. Where do I start? And I know you're trying to explain it to you, but I want to play it low completely and ask you, if I am a personal investor, and I know there's also those corporate investors, all those kind of things, where do I start? Because I want to trade, for example. I want to feel like I've bought this. But before you explain that, let's talk about the 7. I don't know whether they are top of your mind, or can you mention a few of these exchanges that are onboarded?
Okay, yeah. So we have, back in December of 2022, we launched phase 1 of the project. And phase 1 of the project had 7 exchanges that have been connected. But at the moment, we have a total of 9 member participating exchanges. So we have BRVM, which is the West African Monetary Union country stock exchange. It represents about eight stock exchanges. And then we have the Casablanca Stock Exchange, we have the Egyptian Stock Exchange, the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, and obviously the Nairobi Securities Exchange, Nigerian Exchange, and then we have the Stock Exchange of Mauritius. So those have already been interconnected to the trading platform. But the other exchanges that are participating in the project at the moment are also Botswana Stock Exchange and Ghana Stock Exchange. So to access these markets, I know that was your next question, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Like, how do you, as miner, or anybody else that is watching, how do you access these markets?
You're right.
So the first step is, just the same way that you invest in your local market. You reach out to your broker. You do your due diligence on the security that you want to invest in, or the stock that you want to invest in the different markets. So your broker here then will be able to invest on your behalf in all the other markets. So obviously, there's the KYC processes that have to be followed, but that is done locally by your broker. So yeah, it's mostly about, just sort of having a little bit of an understanding of securities that are out there, doing a little bit of research, and also just reaching out to your local broker. So it's a Kenyan broker that will, work with a Nigerian broker to give you access to the Nigeria, or to invest on your behalf in Nigeria, and vice versa.
So what you're saying, in the simplest of languages for our viewers, is that locally go get your broker. As usual, when you want to just invest in your local exchange, go there.
Yes.
And then we have select brokerage firms that are onboarded on AELP.
Yes.
I have a lot of questions for you on that, because we also have brokerage firms, for example, that would want to be listed as people who can help their customers access AELP, that market. That would be the other question. But for now, do we have some locally here where someone who's watching can say, okay, so if I go to this brokerage firm, they will be able to onboard me, or maybe they're already there. I can ask them to also look around and see within these AELP exchanges, where else can I invest? Do we have some that you can mention?
Yeah, so we have a network of 31 brokers across these 7 markets at the moment.
That's a good number.
Yeah, so with a representative 5 brokers per country. So in Kenya, we have AIB Access, there's Sterling Capital, we also have NCBA as a member, and Diane Blair, and FAIDA. So these are the main brokers that are currently participating. So as we go into phase 2 and future phases of the project, because phase 1 was really a proof of concept, which we have proven
that is working.
That is actually working.
So you have quite a number of guys already trading?
Yeah, we have people trading. And so we're also just trying to, increase that number to add more people. So the process of having a stockbroker participate in the project, or rather, in the linkage, is through the local stock exchange or securities exchange. So for example, if a Kenyan broker would like to participate, their first point of contact is their exchange, is the NSE. And the same applies across all these other countries. So for anybody that would like to participate, it's really an expression of interest, to join. And then we take them through the process. We do a training on the technical aspect, and and then we set them up to trade.
So, wow, I mean, I love this because I'm just picturing myself doing this as well and growing into those levels. So, I'm curious to know, now that you mentioned 5, is it like a curve that for now every country gives us your 5? Is it something like that? Or?
Yes, in the first phase.
Oh, in the first phase.
Yeah, first phase.
So we have something else coming up. So in the second phase.
Yes. So in the second phase, now we're, when you start something and then you realize, we need to increase this because there has been increased interest. And so what we're doing now basically is to, raise awareness about the existence of the project first, and then also just to, work now on an expansion plan.
Okay.
Because, ideally, by the end of this whole project, we will have, or rather we intend to connect all the exchanges across the continent.
Okay.
So, we're going into phase 2. And we'll start with, connecting Botswana and Ghana, and then we'll also increase that number to, increasing our total participation to 15 with a few other exchanges.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you're allowed to comment on this, but I'll just throw it to you. If you're not allowed, it's okay. How vibrant are the exchanges in your region? All right. I'm curious to know, because we hear, this particular market is vibrant. And for me, on a Kenyan perspective, I'd like to also know, by the way, if I'm to think of where to, and I'm not asking you to play favorites here, are there maybe like top 1, 2, 3 that could say, hey, you want to also check maybe the Nigerian Stock Exchange or something? I don't know. Do you have something you can say that?
No, I mean, it's so a lot of it is public information.
Okay. Then if it is, please share.
No, but as we monitor the performances of the different markets, it's really up to it depends on the investor, because some markets are really good for like our. Right now, when some markets are low, that's the best time to get in.
You're right.
To buy when the prices are low, because as we know, markets fluctuate depending on just the different
macroeconomics and all that.
Yes,
You're
the
right.
different factors.
Okay.
So obviously they are the large stock exchanges, obviously like the JSE, and also the different exchanges provide different products. So it's really up to the investor. What are they looking for? Right. So every market, again, it's what are you interested in? What do you see, or what's the potential? And so it's also a good idea to look at the history of the different markets and just know,
You're right.
Yeah, there's a lot of research that needs to go into it, but I do know that every market obviously is working hard to improve returns for their investors.
Okay. So Lina, conversations are all out here that globally markets are not doing that well. So in fact, even as I was asking you that question, I know I was just putting you in a hard place, but generally the markets have not done so well. There's a lot of forces behind it. This whole dollar issue, a lot of how economies are doing, coming from the effects of COVID and all that. And so generally there's a sort of, we call it an appetite that is quite low. People feeling, is it time really? Is this really a viable one, a viable option? But the exchanges have been there for quite some time. So I'm curious, because you are heading and really pushing very hard that Africa needs to come together, all the exchanges are there. And there's someone there who's thinking, investing here? Really? Is it really a viable option? And so we have a lot of, if I may call it, apathy towards those kind of direction. I don't know whether I'm right, but I'm just speaking from what I've learned.
Yeah.
What's your opinion, and what would be your advice to anybody who's thinking, nah, not yet?
Like I mentioned earlier, there's also opportunities in
low
in low
markets.
yes,
Right.
low
Yeah.
markets.
Yeah.
And those opportunities, like it's a buyer's market.
Yeah.
You buy and probably hold and wait.
Absolutely.
So but as again you mentioned it correctly, there's the stock exchanges have been here all these years.
For some years, yes. Proven track record.
and again, all the volatility and fluctuations are also, there's also value in that. But as we go into it, what I would say is, as an investor, just do your research. Do your research. But there are also like fixed income securities that are more stable.
Okay.
So if you're not going into equity, then you can look at a different investment process or an alternative investment product.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we shall talk about investment products sometime soon.
Yeah.
So we have, for example, in the Kenyan market, we have Bank of Kigali trading. And this is a very strong term used, cross trading, where, company from whatever country comes here and floats shares for Kenyans to purchase. And Bank of Kigali has actually been doing good here locally. My question to you as, AELP, are you as well mandated to encourage companies from these particular countries that have come on board to also consider cross-listing? Is it part of your purview?
We support the exchanges in any way that they choose to improve performance, provide more products, and increase their listings. So in the long run, what we do hope to do is to also facilitate cross-border IPO listings, like across the continent. So that what we're just trying to do is to provide access to all listed securities wherever they are hosted. Yes.
I get that, and I think your line is very clear here. So let's talk about working with these different countries, because you travel left, right, and center in these particular countries. I see you holding sometimes conferences there and the likes. And I'm curious to know about the culture and the working culture there, and is it a challenge working through that? And the reason why I'm asking this question is because we have a lot of business people who are watching, and most of them, as we have seen, we're becoming borderless over the time.
Yes.
The East Africa community coming together, and Congo market opening, all that. We have talked about the Africa Free Continental Trade Area, all that. So it's sort of like we are opening all these borders to one day be one, and you have gone way ahead and managed to bring the 7, now about to go to 9, and the likes. What are some of the challenges for anybody who's thinking broaden your scope across borders? What has been your observations? I'm curious to know. I don't know, it could be a book, but just in summary.
Yeah, it could be a book. They always say that when you travel, you come back with stories, and you do realize that with every country that you go to within Africa, we have a common thread. There's the African fabric that when you say I want to go to the market, and then you realize, I could buy this in Kenya, and then but there's still those unique features and aspects in all the different countries. So as we become unified, we're still very unique in our own ways. So traveling, I have had to learn a few words in French.
But don't worry, I've seen there's an app that has.
There's an app. There are apps now, but no, but from a professional point of view, I think we have all worked together very well to try and see the value in the different markets and different cultures. So it has been a very eye-opening experience.
So one of the challenges definitely is language. That's what you say, right?
Well, not in a big sense, because still there's. Oh, and just to mention that the AELP link is actually available in 3 different languages. So, so I always say, if you want to learn another language, also just join AELP.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have it in French, English, and Arabic.
Okay.
And but it's capable of being translated into any other language. But yeah, well, Africa is beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know the setting up. When you say that it's actually available in 3, I didn't know that. That which is good way integrating the entire of Africa. The way they should be. What's the magnitude of setting up such a thing? And I know FDB is behind you, as you say. What's the magnitude of really trying to set up this? In my opinion, where I'm sitting, it's like this is a lot of millions of dollars being used.
Well, we started small.
Okay.
Obviously, because again, just the first phase, you want to just get to learn as well.
Okay.
So in terms of finances, we have gotten great support from the Africa Development Bank, and they have guided us. But the exchanges have also, put in resources. We have teams that work behind the scenes, and not even behind the scenes, like upfront. So I have great support. From starting from the CEO exchanges all the way down to we have 4 committees. We have the steering committee, which is headed by the CEOs. We have commercial committee, which is representatives of market development, representatives from those markets, and then obviously technical, because we needed to understand each market's the technical capabilities, and yeah.
Right.
But it's been great.
Good. Let's now go back to the benefits. I have decided, okay, I think I'm interested.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to look for this broker amongst the 5 that you give us. Speak to someone. Is it beneficial?
It's beneficial. Starting with the exchanges. Obviously, it brings in liquidity to the market because we have opened. Or rather, we're opening it up to a wider range of investors. So we're, like for example, we're opening up NSE to 7 exchanges or 15 exchanges, and eventually, to all the other exchanges across Africa. So the more people invest in a particular exchange, liquidity increases, and so obviously the market does well. Okay. And then, for brokers, so we have given them access to, brokers and investors, we've given them access to all these African countries through the aggregation of market data, where they can come to we call it a one-stop shop. Big shop where you come and find everything, and you invest in all that you want. And then for investors, it's really just about diversification of investment products and access to different products.
All right, my goodness. All right, guys, this can be very, very technical in a way, and I am just here trying to really understand and flow with you, so that at least you can benefit in a way here and there, so that at least you get to also call yourself an African investor, and you have a chance to do that. So I'm open to your questions now. If you have any questions for Lena, she's right here and she's ready to answer you when you can ask anything. And I don't know. I think I've seen one who is saying this is quite a great opportunity. I think I'm going to go and try and see. Someone else is asking, how do I get to know about companies that are doing well in these particular companies? And I think you have a quick answer for that, right? Someone is asking if I'm to invest in any of those companies. Maybe they have chosen, I think, let me assume, the Nigerian Stock Exchange.
Yeah.
It's not as the same as how I understand how Safaricom is doing, because I'm locally here, I'm getting consumer news every day. Should they just trust their brokerage firms? Anyway, this is for you to answer. I was just asking the question.
Yeah, so the favorite part, let me call it favorite, because like every other investment, whatever it is that you're investing in, there's a lot of research that needs to go into it. So what we are hoping to do over time is to have research available on all these security, on the securities across the continent. So we do hope to have a research hub where if somebody would like to know about a particular stock in a different market, then they can just access that information. But also, just working with your broker, sometimes the counterparty broker is able to provide that information about how markets are performing. But then we also do a market snapshot. Well, it's annual at the moment, but we do hope to have that more frequently, so that we provide a list of, top 10 holdings, how the markets are performing, and just general information about the markets.
Okay, there's another question here. Someone is saying, I just got to know about this today. Okay, welcome back. Anyway, so how do we get information about what they're doing and how to constantly get updates? I think they're asking about constant updates, so I think you may speak of how can they find you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So first of all, yes, we are hosted at the Nairobi Securities Exchange, and we have our social media pages. We have Twitter. We have Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. I think we can share that on the discussion, so that we can. That's how they can access us. But we also have our website, AELP.
Okay,
Yeah.
so they can visit that.
Yes, they
So I
can
think
visit
just
that
go
for
check
more
it out.
information.
AELP pages all across the board. I think LinkedIn, Twitter, and the website as well for more updates, right? Pixel, watching live, great content, great work, Lena and the AELP. That's someone just congratulating what you're doing.
Thank you.
Someone is called Last JD. Lena is extremely brilliant. I think they know you.